What's going on, Port fans? Welcome back to another video on the channel. Today we are obviously reviewing Showdown 57, a 5-point loss to the Crows. A heartbreaking 5-point loss. And I tell you what, the dare to dream of winning one of the more unlikely Showdown wins in a comeback that looked very unlikely. Even Port fans in the crowd, as soon as we went down by 3 goals in that last quarter, 20 points, it was like we haven't won it last quarter all year. We still haven't won it last quarter all year, but the hope faded very quickly. And for us to come back with fight and a bit of heart and showed that we wanted that, I think is very, very credible. It's obviously a gallant loss, but one that hurts. I think Port fans sitting there last night, it's frustrating and it's weird because I had this general feeling of pride. And what was amazing is, the Port fans that were left, I know a lot left after the final siren and everything, and the Showdown medalists, which I'll get to in a second. The pride, I think, that I felt with Port fans as well, as the players walked off, there was a big round of applause. And I think whilst it hurts and it does hurt, but to lose and lose in a fashion where you just gave it your all, and it was a great showdown. Like, I'm not going to show away. The fight from both sides were fantastic. It was just a good game of football, and it was really enjoyable. If you were neutral, you would have loved that game of footy. It was really enticing, back and forth. It was close the whole time, and whilst the Crows got out to a big lead of 22 points, to claw it back and be on edge. This was a game that was won with chances to be taken, and we just didn't take our chances. Port Adelaide just, the last couple of minutes, we peppered the inside 50. We were all over it, and it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough. We were not smart enough with the ball use going inside 50 late. Our forward connection fell off. Ollie Lord was well held. Georgiadis was well held. I'm not saying as in held, as I'm saying as in they were very much well defended on the night. And whilst it's painful to see, Georgiadis did kick a couple, and I look at the stats here, and the goal kickers are very evenly spread. Finlayson kicked 3. His performance, Jeremy Finlayson, has been under a lot of scrutiny and a lot of backlash for his performances and his input in games. And when he's off, he's really, really poor, and when he's on, he's really good. Luckily, in the Showdown, we got one where he was really on, and for him to have a good performance, he really contributed well in the ruck. He was great around the ground. He's presented well. He had good marks inside 50. He kicked 3 goals, very important ones at stages as well, especially the one late to bring us back within a goal. It's really important to note that his role last night is exactly how well he was playing a couple of years back, and I think that role for him is perfect. Pinch hit in the ruck, play up forward, and do the best you can around the ground to nullify the presence. He was up against Phil Thorpe. He took the couple of ruck contests against Riley O'Brien, and I thought he was very credible in his performance last night, and I think that in itself can hold your head high. And I think overall, it was just a very, very solid performance by him right across the night, and one where as a person that, and as a supporter that we'll pull him up for the stuff he doesn't do well. He did do a lot of things right on Showdown 57 night. Showdown medalist Connor Rosie was best on ground. He kicked a goal, had 32 touches. He had 684 metres gained. He was by far and wide probably our best player. I thought Butters was really crucial inside. He got every time Butters went off, we detoured away from our midfield mix, and it sort of just didn't work as well. We did get hurt late, and he went off late in the last quarter, and the difference was they kicked 3 goals in the space of the time that he actually went off, and it showed because the clearance work, and I'll get the stats up right in front of me here, and I look at the stats, and they won the hit-outs, the Crows, but the clearances, we dominated. 56 clearances. 14 of those came from centre clearances. At the stoppages, we dominated. We smashed them in the stoppage clearances. and our ball use was, not great, but it was good enough, 67%, and the same with disposal efficiency for the Crows was 68%. The damning stat though, and the damning stat that always ends up being when it comes to these close games, and you look at it, it's the efficiency inside 50, and the Crows had 56%, and the Power had 46%. It's hard to take when you have 62 inside 50s to 41. We dominated around the ground. And it probably was a game that we let slip with crucial misses late, and it hurts. And that's just what happens. It happens in games. We had a good run on in the third quarter. Paul Francis had a great opportunity to kick a goal from the boundary line, would have put us 15 points up, and that changes the game entirely. He kicked a great goal later that quarter to bring us back within a goal, but it's just little moments. And it's just not your year when these little moments don't concur. And I think we have subconsciously just accepted that fact now. I have, that we're just not good enough to win these games. We're not good enough to take the big moments. And when we have in the past, it's normally been when we've held on. We haven't really come back and done a good comeback victory for a little while. I know the last good one that I remember was obviously the D's game. A couple of years back in Sir Doug Nicholls' round, where we came back and won in the last quarter after being a couple of goals down. It's just little moments that didn't add up for us. A couple of things I did want to mention as well, and I loved the subtle changes in our mix in the midfield. But Miles Bergman playing in the midfield, 23 touches, kicked a couple of behinds. He had 8 tackles. He was ferocious around the footy, presented well around the ground. He's a good mark and was good in set mark, and I really loved that. I really thought that the little change in his game was sensational, and I really liked that. I think I'd love to see more of that, and hopefully that does eventuate, because I think he was a great mix. And I don't know if that will work next week in particular, but against the Cats, big body midfielders, I would love to see Miles in there, and he did a great job, and he also had over 600 metres gained. I really thought Ryan Burton's game, he was very solid down back. There was a couple of moments you could tell. I think our whole defensive unit, I look at, Farrell, Sin, Burton, Sava, Aaliyah, these blokes are Lockie Jones. They have moments of greatness, and they also have really, really bad moments. And that's a couple of those times, especially late in the game. The one-on-ones that were losing. Aaliyah got dominated on Riley Thilthorpe. He was fantastic, but Aaliyah held his own in other stages. He was taking this at marks, and I thought, Sava's game on Fogarty was pretty good. Lockie Jones did a great job on Tex, and I think to hold them to that score and with their star power, and they missed a few early on, I really feel like we really well held their whole entire attacking. The highest the disposal getter was James Peatling with 24. We held Dawson to only 14 touches. He didn't do too much at all. He was, this is the kind of thing that happens. You dominate the clearances, and it was a really well executed game plan per se, but it's two parts. One, the execution of the game plan really worked, and then the execution going inside 50 didn't work. So there was a breakdown in that plan, which hurt, and it's hurt us many years, this forward line. And I think we probably take Charlie Dixon a little bit too much for granted, because I don't think, whilst the bombing inside 50 doesn't work, we had opportunities where we didn't bomb it inside 50, but we just didn't hit the target, or we missed our opportunity, or there was just opportunities that we had there, but we didn't apply enough pressure, and so forth. You can look back on it in so many different ways, but the perspective is just didn't quite get it, and that's what hurts. I want to touch on a couple of things. The crowd looked like it was very well behaved for once for a showdown. 53,000 people, great crowd, really sensational for a Port home game. A lot of Crows fans there on the hill. Booing Connor Rosie. I didn't, I knew that was sort of going to happen, and I don't think a lot of Crows fans really, they don't like it one way, but if it's mentioned the other way, they're so defensive, and I understand, but the irony is of, we have booed Tex, we have booed Isaac Rankin, we've booed, Eddie Betts. These people are, it's a showdown rivalry, and we understand that circumstances have been different every single time. I just don't think booing in any of those occasions have been right, but I'd like to call it out because it's, it's okay for you guys to do it, but then it's not okay for when we do it. That's the balance there. But other than that, that's the rivalry. It's part of the game. It happens. You're not going to stop it. It's, just unfortunate we lost the game because I think we deserve to win. But I'm not going to take this one as hard as I took the Dogs' loss or anything like that. I really just found this was a good game of footy. Better team won, the better team lost, but Crows are very good, so I'm not going to say too much more. It was just a good showdown. Another one in the books that's going to go down in history as, this is the greatest rivalry in AFL and one of the great rivalries around the world. We are very blessed to have the showdown because it is a bloody unreal rivalry. I was never going to swear there, but I didn't. So, let me know in the comments below, Port fans, Crows fans, if you watched. Well played, take the dub, be happy, and we'll see you later down the track later this season. But for now, we've got a bit of work to do before the Cats next week. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. Make sure you leave a comment, subscribe to the channel if you're new for plenty more Port Adelaide and AFL content to come your way. The glass table will be out this week. Plenty more to come as well. No vlog. I didn't vlog. I decided to soak in the atmosphere, enjoy the footy for what it is, and I really feel like I wanted to do that. There's a lot of things going on in life and everything, so to really sit down and soak in the footy is something I wanted to spread a bit of a message of, and it was really special, and because soaking never tears apart and not giving in and everything like that was really nice. So good night at the footy. Let me know in the comments below your thoughts, everyone. Thank you so much for watching once again. My name's Anthony, and as always, count the pair.